Hi, welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Lori.
We are talking about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 5, Episode number 12. This one is called Mazel, Meredith, and we start out with her bar mitzvah. She's getting ready. It was nice that she had her whole family there. Her oldest son, Reed, who we've never seen before.
I was just going to say, I don't even know if I knew she had another son.
He's very private. He lives in New York. He's 26 years old.
So he just wants nothing to do with the show.
Well, listen, I don't blame him.
Oh,
yeah,
me
who
neither.
would?
Me neither.
He's fine, though.
Brooks, his son.
He
Yeah.
is
fine.
He's very
fine.
handsome.
Yeah, very handsome.
So Brooks is 24 and Chloe is 22. So she had her kids all 2 years apart. We see Heather shows up with her daughter, Georgia, who's 18.
Listen, I know I shouldn't say it. But does Heather have a stylist? Because what was she wearing? It looked like something Mrs. Roper would wear.
Pretty much
I just
Mrs.
feel like-
Roper, yes.
Right? Like a glitzy Mrs. Roper muumuu. And I just feel like she's obviously put a lot of work into herself, Heather. She looks fantastic. Why are you wearing something like that? Not that you have to dress like Angie with your tits out, but
Right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Maybe
Could have a little
something
something going
bit more-
on.
even a belt to cinch that up.
Yeah, something.
I do think it's very interesting that, in Salt Lake City, they're outside for a part of it, right? They're all standing outside and you can obviously see there's snow there. Some people have fur coats on and others are wearing a strapless dress with no
Down.
jacket.
Yeah.
Like how?
Yeah.
How are they not freezing?
I think that it's because of there's a certain time of year there when there is still snow on the ground, but it can be like, 50, 60 with snow on the ground.
Yeah.
And I think most of
Is
the
it similar weather to Colorado?
I think so. And I think a lot of those places have, like, their outside spaces are highly heated so that you can kind of
Right.
but it's just weird. It's just weird seeing
It's just
someone.
weird to look at.
Yes, weird to look at, seeing someone in something that's not a winterish outfit with snow. And someone's coming on a
Yeah.
sleigh. It's just odd.
Yes, and half the people are wearing fur coats.
Right.
I mean,
And
if
they-
they were all dressed that way, you'd be like, oh, okay, this makes sense. It must be warm enough. But half of them are dressed in fur coats and the other are not. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's very odd.
One of those things, unless we go there, we're really not going to know.
Yeah, you're right. So Heather goes on to tell her daughter, because there's an open bar, that she hasn't been to a Bat Mitzvah since she was 13. And that was the first time she had alcohol because there was an open bar there too. And she had a fuzzy navel. And when she said that, I was like, oh, I used to have a fuzzy navel too. I remember that drink.
It's
And I
good.
don't think she said it right. She said it was peach schnapps, orange juice, and Sprite. I think there had to be vodka in that. I think there was vodka.
I thought there was vodka in a fuzzy navel.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But you know what? Who knows? Maybe out there, like maybe it's different,
Yeah.
A
Maybe
Mormon
it's
fuzzy
different.
navel.
Yeah.
I also thought it was interesting that she was ordering the espresso martini, and it was the first time since the trip that she had
Yeah.
ordered
That's
one.
her
And by
sick.
this point, yes, and she was already on her second one at this point, and Meredith hadn't even arrived yet. And she was already on her second espresso martini.
I mean, pace yourself, Heather.
yeah,
Pace yourself.
Yeah.
yeah. And then Brittany gets there and she's talking to Whitney and they're talking about their nails. Bronwyn looks over her shoulder and says to Lisa, do you put glitter and gems on your nails? And Lisa says, I don't do that. That's a little bridge and tunnel. And then they put on the screen, bridge and tunnel means unsophisticated.
Yeah, that was funny.
Come on. That was not necessary though. Did Bronwyn really have to do that?
Well, did Lisa
I
really
think
have to
Bronwyn
do
did
it?
a lot this episode. Yeah, exactly. I think that was more on Lisa than Bronwyn.
Yeah.
It was on both of them. I mean,
Yeah.
Bronwyn was setting her up
Bronwyn
for
was
that.
just like, oh, do you do that? Do you put those on your... I mean, I don't think she had a tone to her when she said it, but Lisa had a tone when she said it's a little bridge. I've never heard that saying before.
I have not either.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, this is the thing. Lisa grew up being a bridge and tunnel girl because she's not from New York City. She grew up in far out Long Island. So she used to bridge and tunnel it. So I don't know what she's talking about. Because it's when you have to go,
grew
you
up
have
on
to
Long
take
Island?
like the far end of it. She grew up in New York. Yeah. So she did not
So you
grow
have
up
to
in the
take the bridge or
city.
tunnel to get
Yes.
into the city.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know
Got
where
it, got it,
she's,
got it,
I don't
got
know
it,
where
got it.
she's going with that. Because guess what, girlfriend?
Yeah, right.
But that's
Right.
typical. To me, that's typical
Well, Lisa
Lisa,
strikes
though.
me as the type that perhaps has forgotten where she's come from.
Absolutely.
You think?
Is that the understatement of the episode?
The
think
end
so.
of the
I
year.
think it
so.
is. Yeah, exactly.
And then we see Mealy and her husband Ty is there. Another guest appearance by Mealy. Angie and Sean are there. In Bronwyn's confessional, she's saying that she's not in a good place with Whitney or Angie, which we know. I mean, Bronwyn's not in a good place with either of them.
Or Heather.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we see Brittany, Mealy, and Bronwyn are all talking, and they ask that if they've talked to anyone since the camp out, and Brittany says she hasn't seen Mary or, they ask if Mary's coming tonight. And then you see Angie like over her shoulder, like listening to them. And it flashes back to a week earlier when Angie went over to Mary's house. And I really thought that was she was sitting in her kitchen and, Angie asked Mary, how are things with you and Meredith? And Mary, replies, no comment. And she's like, well, where does that leave you with Bat Mitzvah? She's like, well, I don't even know if I'm going to go. I have too much going on in my life right now. And she starts crying. And you could see that Angie was very empathetic towards her because Angie started crying too. And Angie asks, Mary, is everything okay? I don't want to pry, but when you're ready to talk, I'll be here to listen, which is really, I think, all that Mary needed at that point.
Yeah.
And I do believe that Mary is close with Angie. I think that whatever happened this year that got them together, I think it's genuine.
It seems genuine.
Yeah, it does seem
Because
genuine.
even when she was on Watch What Happens Live after the show, her and Meredith still are not good.
Mary?
Mary and Meredith still are not good.
Oh, because it seemed in this episode that they patched things up.
Yeah, but it was kind of superficial. I don't know if you saw it. Andy asked if anyone had reached out to her from her cast.
Yes, I saw
And
that.
she said everyone reached out to her except for
Lisa.
Was it Brittany? I think it was
Lisa.
I thought it was
Lisa.
Lisa.
Oh, you're right. It was Lisa.
I thought it was Lisa, which I was surprised.
Yeah, you're right. It was Lisa.
But there was something that went on that was not on camera, and I really didn't get a chance to really look at it. Something about Mary said something about Lisa's son that they're not talking about, but
She called him the R word.
yeah.
Something did happen.
Yeah.
We're not going to see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was it.
Mary
Well, maybe
called
that's why.
Lisa's son the R word.
I wonder when that was.
I don't know. I thought it seemed like it was this season, right?
No,
Yeah.
it definitely was this season. It probably was when everyone was yelling either at Mary's house or at the camp out, maybe, because that's when everyone was just yelling at everybody. At both of those,
It was probably at the camp out because Mary and Lisa were going at each other.
yeah.
It was probably then.
Maybe.
Because I don't think they were really going at each other at Mary's lunch, but definitely at the camp
At the
out.
camp. And that was the last thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you know what?
No, then.
All things aside, it really doesn't matter. I don't find any excuse for not reaching out. I don't really care what. She could have called them whatever name she wanted to. To me, that shouldn't even matter. But we're talking about Lisa Barlow, so no surprise.
I don't know, man. If somebody called my kid that, I think I'd be pissed.
Yeah, but
I do think I would still, if I were the one who, I would still reach out.
That's what I'm
if
saying.
I knew somebody's, kid was
That's what I'm
struggling
saying.
with substance abuse.
well, and especially if that's when it happened. That's the day that Mary got hit with all that from Robert Jr. And she does talk about that too. Like she never expected that. She just
Right.
really was blindsided by it.
Right.
So of course she's going to say things that are, hurt people. How many times have we said
Yes,
that,
yes,
right?
yes.
And she while she's talking about it in her confessional, she says she asked God to help her and lead her and guide her on what she should do. And I believe that she does do that. And like I said,
Sure.
when he told her, I believe that was because of all her prayers, because that's what she's been doing. She knew something was up, but she just didn't know what until he was just finally honest with her.
Right. How about her lurking around that building, though?
Oh my
As
gosh.
Meredith was up there reading the Torah.
It was hysterical.
My gosh.
In
She
regards
was
to that,
literally looking right behind her in the
I know.
in regards to that, I really kind of blame that on production. I mean,
for sure.
didn't they do that whole thing where they like iced her out from trips and stuff? So there's a whole thing with Mary in production already. Don't you remember that? There was something where they were icing her out from trips and she wasn't invited. There was like some kind of thing with Mary in production previously that I was like, how do you do the girl dirty like that? Like, that's just not right. I just feel like somebody could have said,
agree. I mean,
this is where the entrance is.
It was a religious celebration. Don't make a mockery of it by having her like behind her, like knocking, looking in, and
listen, I just think
you could go on and on. How
on and on
sucks.
and on. Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, some of the girls' outfits, even like, I loved how I thought Angie looked beautiful, but I didn't think that was appropriate for a religious ceremony. It wasn't.
I totally agree with you. I think, listen, you're going out to dinner with your husband or you're going out to the club with the girls. Okay.
Right.
That is not an appropriate outfit for religious celebration. And you go on and on about how you are religious.
Right.
How you are Greek Orthodox.
Yeah, I was not.
Why would you wear that?
I was not digging some of the people's outfits that they wore to a religious event like that. I just don't think it was cool. Like, where are you going?
I agree with you guys. Then we see Bronwyn says to Mealy and Brittany, what's funny for me is that I've been on the outs with everybody, so everybody talks shit about everybody to me, and I'm the oracle now.
Who said that, Bronwyn?
Bronwyn. And then Brittany says, I'm still upset with Angie for calling me a slut. She said, you're sleeping with 3 guys, you're sleeping with 10 guys. I really think if she's accusing me of that, it's probably because that's what she's really doing with Sean. Now that's going to come back up again thanks to Bronwyn. Like, Bronwyn's just stirring that pot. Bronwyn says, we'll see who the target is tonight. And then Meredith shows up in her horse-drawn sleigh with her husband and her children. Then Rabbi Ruth starts off the ceremony. Then she explains about the part about being able to wear a prayer shawl. And she calls Meredith's mother up to put it on Meredith. And we find out that it was the one that Seth used when he made his bar mitzvah many years ago. And he wanted her to wear that. And she was very happy to wear that. And she was touched that he wanted to, pass that on to her. Then she's reading and singing the Torah. I guess you're supposed to sing it? Okay, in Hebrew. She said she's honored to have the opportunity to read from the Torah. I wonder, I've never been to a bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah. Is that the whole thing? Was it really that short or no?
No, it's
long. It's long.
It's longer. Yeah,
it's a lot
there's
longer.
Much more to it. And that's what you do. You go in for the prayer part first. And then there's a beautiful party celebration afterwards. I've gone to like 3, I think.
Oh, you have?
And and actually when I was in middle school, my best friend at the time made her bat mitzvah, and I actually got up to light a candle with her. It's a beautiful ceremony. I was actually thinking that while I was watching this, I don't care if Meredith is using this as a storyline or not. It's a beautiful ceremony. I'm glad we got to see it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry it got ruined because these women can't control themselves. But it really is a beautiful ceremony. There's a lot of beautiful things about the Jewish religion.
Yeah,
absolutely. It really is. Yeah.
So then what happens? Lisa says, this is what cracks me up about Lisa. Since she's Jewish by heritage now.
Yeah. What?
Well,
when was Lisa Jewish?
Well, listen.
By heritage.
Listen, she grew up. She was Jewish when she grew up. Her and her family lived in New York, and they were Jewish. And Mormons
Long Island, when she was on Long Island.
Right. Mormons came and knocked on the door, and her family converted. Yes.
All right. I'm happy you told me that because I never knew that.
Yep. I read about that.
But again, she was bringing it about her because she's Jewish by heritage, and now that Meredith made her bat mitzvah, now she feels closer to her.
Even though she's a Mormon.
What? even though you are a Mormon 2.0. I mean, she's not even a regular Mormon. She's a Mormon 2.0.
It's hysterical.
And Jewish.
Holy cow.
I'm
She
like,
really did turn that around and made it right about herself. Holy
Yeah.
shit. I got to give it to these people. Some people do it so effortlessly. It's like, it's an art. It's a form of art, really, how they pull that off.
then what happens? That's actually, then Mary shows up at that point and she's peeking through the windows. Then Meredith starts to say a few words about, I didn't have my Bat Mitzvah growing up. And then all of a sudden, she's like, it didn't bother me. And then all of a sudden, she's like, I need a moment. Like all of a sudden, she was overcome with emotion. I mean, I don't know. Is it that emotional? Was it that acting? I mean, it seemed a bit dramatic to me, but
I think it's very hard to tell with Meredith.
With Meredith, yeah, I was
It's
just
very
going to
hard
say.
to gauge with her.
Well, it's interesting.
Okay.
because During the episode, she also said, I'm not so much into the religious aspect of it, but I'm more into the traditions of it. So who knows?
right.
Who knows what her gig?
I mean, I don't know. I'm a crier. I'm a sap, and we just had the investiture mass yesterday at St. Dominic's, and my kids are long confirmed and done with CCD, but I still get choked up when I'm there because these are the kids I'm teaching. So some people do, but I don't know if that person.
I wouldn't
is
think.
Meredith.
I wouldn't. If you were to ask, like, do I think that was?
Don't know.
Yeah, like since it's Meredith, I would be
Probably
I
not.
don't- Probably
Right.
not. Probably not.
Probably not. Right.
She was just
But
having
then she goes
giving
on to
herself a moment.
Yeah. To be right there. Because then she goes on to say, with all the anti-Semitism around the world, this is when she decided to do it and
Right.
really wanted to show her support. So,
So
then
maybe.
Yeah, because of
maybe
the
for
world.
that.
Maybe, I don't know. Then they all say Mazel Tov, and it's time to eat. So then it's time to eat. And Heather runs up and says hi to this doctor. And then she introduces him to Bronwyn that this is my plastic surgeon.
Roman's like, oh, we love a plastic surgeon.
I know. I'm like, how random is that? Like, what?
Yeah.
He must be Meredith's plastic surgeon also if he's there. I would imagine.
Or just her friend. I mean, who knows? Has Meredith had plastic surgery that she's admitted to? I don't know.
I'm sure she doesn't admit to it, but she most certainly has. Something.
Mary then goes over to Meredith and says, you did amazing, and I'm so proud of you. And they have this moment, like you said. Mary says, I know we need to talk. They don't really talk, but she tries to talk. They both really apologize to each other, and they kind of, just leave it there. They said that, they're going to learn from this and move forward. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens in the season. Because like I said, on Watch What Happens Live, she's not good with Meredith like she is with
That's
Angie.
interesting.
Yeah. She also did say that she has a lot going on in her life. And, maybe you would think that Meredith would say, like, what's going on in your life,
Yeah.
But she didn't. Then Angie goes up to Bronwyn and says, do you have a minute to talk?
This
And
didn't go well.
no, she says, well, let me start with a compliment. I love your outfit. I love your purse. And then Bronwyn says, is this a 2-step apology? Like, is this step 2 and the next is the apology? And she's like, you want an apology from me? And she's like, yeah, I want an apology from you. And she's like, well, I was thinking the same thing. I want an apology from you. I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know
God.
what Angie wants Bronwyn to apologize for.
Oh, it's just
Basically,
too much.
Bronwyn wants Angie to apologize for telling her to shut the F up 17 times, right?
yes.
Okay, so now telling somebody to shut the F up over and over and over and over again is a little bit different than just cursing in general.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that's my take on it.
No, I agree. I mean, so Bronwyn wanted it because she kept telling her to shut the fuck up. And Angie's like, well, you curse all the time. Like, what's the big deal? Cursing and telling someone to shut the fuck up, totally
It's
different.
two different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Todd walks over and says to Bronwyn, I think it's time to get a drink. And then he says to Angie, would you like a glass of wine? And Bronwyn says, you don't need to get a drink for someone who tells me to shut the fuck up.
So here's what I think. I think Todd was just trying to get Bronwyn out of that situation because he didn't like the way she looked in that situation. But he really should have just let her handle it because she was handling it. and he might not like the way she looked while doing it, but that's what she has to do on this show.
Well, I think you're 100% correct. I mean, he did want to try and get her out of the situation and be gracious about it. But, you know, the way he goes about it, because then when she does go over, she says to him, you know, like, why did you say that in front of me? Like, if you wanted to do that, like, don't do this in front of me. And he's like, well, I didn't like, if you didn't like the way she was talking to you, then you should walk away. Like, don't let her talk to you that way. And then he winds up walking away. Like, he leaves mad. You know, she gets her drink and then he goes over to the bar, but we didn't really see him again because then the whole big blow up happened and we never really saw them get back together, like before everyone started leaving, you know? I don't know. I mean, I get it. He doesn't like to see her like that, but I think if they come back next season, maybe he just doesn't go to these events. Maybe he just doesn't witness it because it's not something that, you know, Lisa's husband wasn't there for whatever reason.
Mm.
So maybe he just doesn't come to these events because this is how they're going to act, you know?
Well, I
get it. You know, I get it.
I can see it being a very foreign thing to him. But because really, in real life, who really acts like this?
Right.
This is not.
Yeah.
This is
Eric
not
would be
normal.
I'm getting the fuck out of here.
This is not normal behavior.
No.
So I'm sure to him, he's like, what the fuck are these people doing? And
Right.
I saw an
Why am I
interview with
here?
her. Yeah, I saw quite a few interviews with her. And she talks about their relationship a lot. And she said, you know, he really is very protective because she said she suffers from a lot of anxiety. She's a highly anxious person. And she feels
Brahman
like
is?
highly anxious person. She says, like, you know, when you see me and my hands are flitting or my hands are messing around my neck, she goes, I'm getting like all charged up. And
Well,
she
no
said,
wonder he's trying to get her out of those situations.
yeah, that's why
that
he
explains
kind of
it all.
Yeah, that's kind of why he jumps in and reacts like that. But she said, you know, this is something that she wanted to do almost because of her anxiety. And she's really trying to use this whole experience to really, she goes back, she watches, she looks at herself, she's analyzed, she's thinking, what can I do? Like, she's really, and I haven't heard this from any other housewife before, but not like I'm some big housewife person, but she's really trying to
grow
work through it. Yeah, she's really trying to work through it and grow, which I thought was very
That
impressive.
makes a lot of sense and explains why he acts the way he acts sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So it was interesting
I agree
to learn about her.
That is interesting. That's very interesting. Huh.
So then Whitney goes up to Heather and says, we need to talk about what Bronwyn was saying at the camp day. And Heather's like, I don't think that there's anything to discuss. Like, anything she said, you and I have already discussed. Like, you've already, you know, it doesn't matter. We're good.
Yeah, like, Whitney, we can go one episode without you having some kind of fucking dramatic experience.
Right.
Like, stop.
Yeah. She shut her down.
Lisa walks over. Yeah. But then Lisa walks over and Whitney is talking and Lisa interrupts her and she said, why don't you fucking let me speak? Now, again, Lisa didn't have to come over. Like, she wasn't a part of the conversation.
I do think that in these situations, producers are pushing them to go over to where the situation is.
Well, that's a problem.
I totally agree with you.
That's totally a problem.
Yeah. Because Lisa was probably happy off in the corner having her cocktail.
And then once again, Lisa starts calling Whitney a liar. This is all a lie. And I'm just like, oh my God. Lisa says, do you know how to figure out who's lying? You get both liars in the room together. And I'm like, my God, like, what is going on?
High school.
It is so high school. It's so high school. And then Bronwyn's over there talking to Brittany and Mealy. And she's like, who thought we'd be friends? Who thought I'd be friends with you two? Like, meeting Brittany and Mealy. And then Brittany says, well, now that we're newly friends, I want this to last a hot minute. I mean, literally, it wasn't even a minute. It was not even a minute until Bronwyn threw her under the bus.
I want to see where this friendship goes.
Right.
Nowhere. It's going in the toilet.
Nowhere.
In about T-minus 20 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah. So then Heather calls Bronwyn over and, okay, go ahead.
But, you know, Bronwyn has always said that she doesn't have any problem being messy. So it's almost like she just does what everybody else is doing. but is more open about it.
That's basically what she's saying, I think. I think that's what Bronwyn's saying. Like, I'm not doing anything the rest of you aren't doing. I'm just being honest about it.
She's just being
Because that's
more
what she
honest
said to
about
her
it.
husband. They get mad at me if I'm being honest. They get mad at me if I do this. I totally agree with you. I think that's what's going on.
Yeah. So then Heather calls Bronwyn over and Whitney asks Angie, like, did I say anything about Heather? And Brittany says, I don't think you say things just to be dramatic. Then Brittany says, you guys called me a slut. Because then they come over. And again, they just wandered over there. Like they weren't a part of this conversation. And then that's where it blows up. Lisa said, you said I was doing 3 guys. Brittany said, you said I was effing like 10 guys. Bronwyn then tells Angie that Brittany earlier said that Angie is a slut. What? Like,
She
really?
said, if she's calling me all these names, maybe it's because that's what she is.
Right, exactly. So then Angie starts yelling, I don't look like I have a high body count, and I don't dress like I have a high body count, and I don't wear my hair like I have a high body count. And I was like,
did you see
whoa.
Mary's face when
That
Angie
was
said body
great.
count?
That
Oh
was
my
great.
God. Mary's face,
was
like
great.
her, like,
Yeah, huge.
it was so funny.
So I was wondering if Angie had quite a few cocktails by then, because she was like on a tear. Like,
She was popping off. She was popping off.
She definitely was. She definitely was.
And that's what she did. She called her dress, her shoes, her boobs,
And her hair
slutty. And then she goes, I didn't call her a slut.
Right.
Right? Well, you called literally every physical feature that was on her slutty.
Right.
Like, I think it's just semantics at this point.
Yes.
And then Brittany says, you think my hair looks cheap? Like, after all that she said to her, the only thing she grabbed onto was her hair?
I personally like Brittany's hair. That's like my get. I really like it.
It's
I like the color.
It's hairdo.
Exactly. And I'm here for it. But I saw a close up on one of the social media posts and you could see her tracks. You could totally see her tracks. Now, I don't know who did her hair that day, but it's like, you got to be careful.
How about Lisa?
Especially since Angie's a hairstylist and owns a salon. And so is her husband. I said Angie. Did I say Angie?
Yeah. How about Lisa telling her, oh, your hair looks pretty, but you do need the treatment. Whatever that treatment was, it's that you need it.
That treatment's been all over social media, by the way.
Yeah. They're going to make a
I don't know how to pronounce
now.
it. Kerastase?
I don't know.
Kerastase or something?
I don't know.
It's like Keraste.
But they're going to be making a fortune
like
now because...
Fuck yeah, they better write Lisa a check.
Yeah, but that was
that was funny.
That was Lisa Gold.
And so then Brittany says to Angie, screw you, Angie. And then Angie says, take your bump it and walk.
And then she said something to Mealy about her hair. I thought Mealy's hair looked amazing, and Tess was actually and she was like, "What's hair?"
I thought her hair looked good too. I thought her hair looked good.
Mealy's hair.
Angie was on a tear. That's why she was tearing it up.
You're right. Yep.
Angie says, I was never slutty. Not even in high school, I wasn't slutty. And then Whitney's
Come on,
like,
Angie, we all had a couple of slutty years.
Come on, he admitted it.
Whitney looks at her and she's like, Angie, that's not nice. And I'm just like, oh God. So then Brittany goes over and we don't see her. She's off camera, but you hear her talking to Brooks and Chloe. And she's like crying to them. And Whitney's like, she's crying. And Angie's like, oh, she's crying. And she, you hear her saying, they're calling me slutty. And Brooks is like, oh, that's not right. And then he goes over to Meredith and tells Meredith what happened. And as soon as Meredith gets wind of what's going on, it just was like.
Meredith was waiting for a reason to kick Angie out of that party.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
By the way, who has security at a bar mitzvah?
Come on.
I know.
So, stuff like that makes me think that was the whole gist. Like, that was the setup from the very beginning. Like, from the very beginning, the producer said, okay, look, now, Meredith, you're going to get to throw her out of the party. We'll have some guys there, so it'll look good and blah, blah. Like, that's the stuff where you're like, I mean, come on. Nobody has big, burly guys with gold chains on.
I mean, unless they're in your family.
Do you remember when they were in Palm Springs and Meredith was trying to call security when Heather was really drunk on the martinis and she kept yelling at the waiter, security. Like, that's her thing. She's like,
that's
security.
right. And the waiter's like, I just bring water.
Yeah, I just bring water. Like, I don't know what
I
you want
can
me to do.
happily get you another drink. I cannot escort this woman out of here.
Yeah.
Right. So she winds up leaving herself. Meredith winds up leaving, and Lisa goes after her that time. I was like, what is with her and this security?
And then Angie walks up to Brittany and she goes, I love your hair.
I love Angie
Well,
in this.
You know what? Now that you said it, Laura, I bet you Angie was lit. She had to be
Oh,
lit.
she had to be. She definitely had to be lit.
I think so.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
girl.
I mean, Meredith's exact words were, quite frankly, I'm over Angie's behavior. I'm like, quite frankly, like, who says that?
I know.
Meredith.
Yeah. And then Angie's like, you don't need to escort me out. I don't even weigh 100 pounds.
And Sean at that point was just like, whatever. Then they hand her Brittany's jacket.
Oh my
And she
God,
throws
that's even funnier. She throws it. That's not Michael.
I
It
was just
really was a
waiting.
good episode.
I was waiting for her
funny.
to. I was waiting for her to say that coat has too high of a body count on or something.
Yeah.
And then Lisa goes running outside after her, and she's like, you know, Angie, what's going on? Well, first of all, you know what's going on. You saw what was happening. And Lisa says, I feel bad for Angie, but I don't see how she doesn't see how she has a part in this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What'd she
Well-
say? She said, Angie remembers her reaction, not what she did to provoke the reaction.
Exactly. Then why did you run out?
But
After
why
her.
didn't you say that to Angie's face
Right.
when you were like hugging her saying how much you loved her?
Right.
Like, if you're her friend, tell her that. Like, I think that, I mean, Lisa did kind of bring her back in by Brittany, though, before Meredith kicked her out, right? Was it
Yeah.
Lisa that went out and got her?
Think so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Who can
But
remember?
still.
There's still too much going on.
I know. It was a good episode, though.
It was, because Lisa says to Angie, don't say anything you're going to regret when she's
Right.
And when she
Because she was still calling her tacky while she was out there.
Right. And then Brittany, this is the best. The next thing that happens, Brittany and Mealy say to Bronwyn, let's take a selfie. Bronwyn says, well, I don't have slutty hair, so I'm out of here.
That was a little fucked up.
I like
That was a little fucked up.
I like
And
it,
she
though.
was serious. Like,
Yeah.
kind of joking, but she was serious.
I mean, come
I thought it was funny.
And again,
was
I thought
funny.
Mealy's hair looked amazing.
The whole thing was too
And-
funny.
It was hysterical. Angie says, I'm done. I'm embarrassed that she invited me here, and then she asked me to leave. Lisa says, I'm sorry, and hugs her. Lisa goes back inside and says to Meredith, the level of accusations is unbelievable. And then Lisa says, cheers to Puerto Vallarta, and then she leaves. But then we see her in her confessional, and she says, this is so out of hand. Like, everyone is in some kind of fight. Meredith hates Angie, Bronwyn hates Angie hates Brittany, and I hate Whitney. The thing is, not so long ago, we were all kind of okay, which is why before Angie threw a napkin, before she and Brittany had high body count hair, and before Meredith pulled up on a sleigh, I planned the perfect girls trip. What? Now she gets her own monologue at the end?
Yeah.
This is so overproduced. It's ridiculous.
It's very
ridiculous.
overproduced.
And
I mean,
you know,
that's
I
what it
find,
was. She had her own monologue.
Yep.
yeah, I
Yeah.
find it interesting because, you know, they had that scene last time where they did like the Girl Scout camping thing. But a lot of the
Right.
stuff that they're doing is almost like campy. Not like
Yeah.
camping, but like campy funny. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
no, yeah, it is.
yeah,
Yep.
it's just a lot of it's campy. But
It is.
I don't know. I thought it was funny. And I'm not easily amused by housewife stuff. So
I thought it was a good episode.
Yeah.
I liked
Just-
the
it was just-
spiritual aspect of it with Meredith, with the ceremony, like because like to me this is like good drama, like good, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't the worst episode. I mean, there was very funny parts of it. There really
Yeah,
was. I mean, the whole
exactly. And
the
it's
whole-
nothing too deep or too serious. I mean, calling somebody a slut, like slut shaming somebody, is not right.
no.
It's really not. But it was kind of like all in good. I don't want to say all in good fun, but it's nothing too deep. It's nothing too serious.
Right.
It's not saying somebody cheated on their husband. It's not, talking shit about somebody's kid. Like, this is
Right.
good. This is
Right.
good drama.
just
Let's keep the drama
Plain-
light.
plain slut nonsense.
You got high body count hair.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
like
Yeah.
that.
it's not the worst thing somebody could say about you.
No,
Really
no, no,
not.
no. And she is
Yeah.
Greek, and they are feisty. It's just how it is.
Well,
Yeah, of course.
They really
that's an
are.
understatement with her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
She
know
could start
lots of Greek
throwing some
people,
plates
and
soon.
they get riled up.
They get riled up.
So
Yeah.
I want to tell you, I listened to a podcast with on the Vile Files, and do you know
Mhm.
that she had her daughter and went back to work 2 days later. 2 days.
Where did she work?
In finance. And she said, I had to provide for my daughter, and I was in a position where if I would have gone out on any kind of maternity leave, someone would have taken my position. It was a
That's
very,
right. Somebody would have
whatever
taken her
position
account.
she would have taken.
But wait a second. She was in college. She was in college when she got pregnant.
No, I
Right,
think she got pregnant in college. She had her after she graduated. Like,
Yeah, she
I
was.
thought she was a sophomore in college. I don't think she graduated.
I
maybe
don't
she
think
didn't. Maybe she
no,
didn't
she did
graduate.
not
Maybe she got a
graduate, but
job.
she got a job right away. So she must have gotten the job
Mhm.
when she was still pregnant. Yeah, but she said,
Well, good for her.
yeah, 2 days later. I was like, whoa, boy. And she was saying how, she was kind of taken aback because she knew Lisa in a certain way and kind of thought when she went on the show that Lisa was going to kind of show her the ropes but she said, nope, it was totally, once she got on the show, it was a totally different aspect of Lisa. And she was just totally sink or swim. And there was no backup whatsoever. So
I think there are certain housewives that would have done what Brahman was looking for. Lisa's not the one.
No.
Lisa's looking out for number one. Lisa's looking out for Lisa. She's not showing you how to navigate anything. She's going to look to defend herself at all costs.
Yeah. And she said that
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, she'd actually had a first class ticket for Heather. And that's
Yeah,
one
she
of the,
said that. She
Yeah,
said that
said that,
in the
yeah.
They said
episode.
it at Mary's lunch, but I don't
Yeah.
understand them. Why didn't you just give that ticket to Lisa?
Because it was gone.
Well, would you?
But it was gone
She had
because,
already when
because
Heather
when,
wasn't going.
yeah, then she had to give the seat up.
So she canceled it
yeah.
when Heather said she wasn't going, and
Yeah.
then
And she
somebody else
said that
got it.
she
Got
did, when Lisa started making the racket about the ticket, she did offer up one of either her or Todd's first class seats. And I guess
She
They-
did.
yeah, that they didn't take it. Let's see. She said that, also too, that a lot of her trust issues are coming to the surface, in regards to how it went down when she was pregnant. So she said, I'm having all these internal issues with all these women who don't trust her. So she said that's part of her gig too. And Nick Vile had asked her, he said, about the necklace. He goes, was that like a bit of like dick measuring? And Ron was like, of course. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Remember the necklace that she got? That however $1 million.
The $4 million necklace.
yeah,
Did she really keep it? I mean, she really did keep it.
I think she really did keep it. Yeah, I think she did. Yeah,
I
So,
would not.
I don't know. It was just kind of fun to get to know her a little bit more, like another, the
Yeah.
other side. So, I like her.
I
think
like
she's
her. I
fun.
still like her.
Her
Yeah.
too. She's very messy.
Yeah. She's getting
Very
messy, and I think she's trying not to, but it's just happening. But
Well,
it's all right.
can you
It's
imagine
how you
having that
handle
job?
it afterward.
Yeah, can you imagine having that job, being a new housewife with
No,
that?
I would be a total fucking mess if
Yeah.
somebody had cameras on me all the time. I would be a mess.
Well, we're on episode 10. I hope we get to see a little bit more what's going on with her daughter, because I think she said when she was on Watch What Happens Live earlier in the season that we're going to see how it plays out.
Yeah. Yes.
So we'll have
Yeah,
to
that
wait and
whole
see what
thing's
happens with
just
Glenn.
sad. That's just a sad situation.
And it unfortunately doesn't sound like the grandparents really learned anything
Nope, I
by
don't think
losing
so.
their son. Like as far as wanting a relationship with their granddaughter. It's very sad.
It's very
Yeah, it is.
Surprising, shocking, disappointing, sad. It's all
Mhm.
those things.
Mhm. Yeah.
Real quick, the other night, Wendy and I were talking about Teresa Giudice and Joe Giudice and why they went to jail. And turns out we were both right. They went to jail. There was 41 counts of fraud, including bank fraud, mail fraud, wire fraud, bankruptcy fraud, and tax fraud. So, submitting fraud, the allegations, and they were accused of submitting fraudulent loan applications, which is what you said. And I don't know why. I've worked for lawyers my whole life, and I don't know that if you lie about your income on a mortgage up, I guess if you get the mortgage and you lie. I was thinking, like, if you put the wrong amount down, they're going to they're going to check it. And if, they're not going to give you the loan, but that's not what happened. They got the loan. Lying about their employment and salary, concealing assets and income from the trustee. That's what I was talking about. That's what I thought they really went to jail for, hiding their assets from the trustee. Cheating the government on taxes, testifying falsely under oath in a bankruptcy proceeding. I mean, what are you doing?
Right.
That sounds like
you're under oath.
That sounds like shit.
So we were both right. I mean, listen, it's water under the bridge. They're both out. Thank God. I feel bad that Joe is still deported and not allowed in the country, but I just wanted to clarify that because we like to be, accurate.
Yes. And we're not perfect.
No, we are not.
I did listen to Give Them Lala today, and it was her Monday bonus episode, and it was Teresa again. I guess she did it in 2 episodes, and Teresa was talking about her time on House of Villains, and I started reading an article about that, how people are saying like they see a different Teresa on House of Villains than they did in the most recent Housewives, and she says because she went in there with a different mindset, like that's who she really is. And she was talking about, Joe, her husband, about, he never really showed her affection, never told her she looked pretty. And these are, true things. He didn't. We saw that. And that Louis does all those things for her and makes her feel good and takes care of her. And, she really enjoys that kind of relationship. She likes the affection. She likes the attention. And it makes me understand her more. I know that, I feel bad for her. I do. The more I hear,
that's what I was going to say is the more, and I haven't watched all, I watched like season 1 and half of season 2 of the original Housewives. And that was always my takeaway from it, is that I do feel bad for her. I don't think that she's the brightest bulb. And I don't mean that in a mean way at all. But I just think that I really do feel bad for her. I don't think she has the emotional maturity to really handle relationships correctly. And I think that's what happened with Joe. And I feel like that's what's happening with this husband now, that she's just not. And I feel bad because I feel like from what I've seen, he's a shyster, and I would feel badly for her to get like fucked over.
I agree with you.
Whether she did it to herself or not.
Right. And that's what's going to happen. I agree with you. And, another thing she said, which I've, remember when they were in the vineyard and he was on the phone, Joe, and he said, I got to see you next Tuesday. She talked about that. And when Andy told her about it, she was yelling at him and he never spoke to me that way. He never talked to me that way. She's like, he never used those words. Like, I know how we would fight. And he never did that. She really thought that they manipulated it. Lala was like, you mean like AI or something? She goes, yeah, he never spoke to me that way. So
do you really believe that? Do you really believe that Joe Giudice did not talk to her like that? I don't believe that for a second.
No, I believe her. I do.
Nah, you can't play victim this much. No way.
He was in a vineyard. He was definitely drunk. They had been drinking all day.
And he drank a lot, Joe Giudice. That was like...
he was definitely drunk.
I'm sorry. There's no way. They said it. Dolores has said it. He was terrible to her the way he spoke to her. Dolores has even said it.
I could see that. And like I said, I'm looking at it from the outside because I only watched a little bit of it. But I could tell right, like I got his number right away. Being from New Jersey, like I got his number right away.
Yes.
He was a typical North Jersey, Italian, short man. It's just classic textbook. And I could see him being very demeaning to her. I could see it.
Yes.
I mean, I
let me
never
tell-
heard him say it, but I could see it.
But this is the thing. She also said she thinks that like everything happens for a reason. Like the reason she went to jail is because she would have never left Joe. She would have never left him. You know, she even when he got out of jail, she even went over to Italy. She was going to try and make it work. She would have stayed with him. That's who she is.
No, she told him when she went to Italy, when he got out, that she wanted a divorce. That's what she went there for.
No, that's not what she went there for.
Well,
She went there.
that's what's on camera.
No, she went there to see how things were with her and to see how it was going, if they could make it work. But at this point, she was so resentful because her mother had passed away. She was in prison and she missed all that time with her mom and she would have not left him. That's what she said. And I believe her. Like, I think that the only reason she finally wound up leaving him and divorcing him is because she just had had enough. And even if he was calling her names, she said he never said that name.
Well, I don't think she would have left him over that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think she was going to leave. She wasn't going to leave him. If this didn't happen, she would have never left him.
Right.
And she'd still be with him for her daughters. Her daughters.
Yeah.
Daughters.
I mean, and even she talked about like how she met Jim Leonard. She didn't even want to hire Jim Leonard. She met Jim Leonard because they were trying to she gave it a number. They were trying to go back after she had already pled guilty and a different attorney advised her to plead guilty. They were trying to go back and be re-sentenced. And he was the one trying to do that. And it was Melissa and Joe's and Kathy's attorney. And she didn't want to use him. She didn't want to meet him because it was her brother's attorney. She wanted nothing to do with him. He came in. She wanted nothing to do with him. And then all of a sudden she started talking to him and she liked what he had to say. She's like, he couldn't do what he wanted to do.
She's like, he doesn't do that type of law.
Well, he's a shyster too, is my point.
Exactly.
But she doesn't know that. She thinks he's a good friend. She's like, he took me to jail that day. He took me to prison. He came to my house and he picked me. I'm telling this is what I'm saying to you. She is delusional.
That is correct. She is delusional.
But
I can't feel sorry for somebody who plays victim over and over and over again, especially when you have people telling you.
I don't think she's playing victim. I don't think she's playing victim. I think she's living in what happened. I'm just telling you, she's delusional. She doesn't see people for who they are. She still trusts.
No.
She still trusts Jim Leonard. She trusts him now to this day. She considers him a good guy. And that is real. This is how she feels. She's not playing victim. She's not saying she's a victim. No, she's not. She went to jail. What she's saying is she holds her head high because she doesn't see herself as a criminal. She went to jail because of what she did. She's taken accountability. She signed the papers. She didn't realize what she was doing. I believe that 100% because she is not the brightest bulb. She puts her trust in people like her ex-husband and Jim Leonard and her new husband. She has a very poor judge of character.
That's what I'm saying.
She doesn't cry victim, though. She's not saying, poor me, poor me. What she's doing is she's hustling and trying to provide for her children. And she's, paying for them to go to college. And she's, paying off the debt of her ex-husband who's not in the country. She's not crying victim. She really isn't.
But she never admits when she's wrong. She blames everybody else for everything that's happened to her.
But I think this is the thing. I think that is because she doesn't even realize it. Like
right. I agree.
She's so delusional.
Let's stop talking about it. Seriously.
Yeah.
I can't even. I can't believe the two of you are saying this. Somebody who never thinks they do anything wrong and blames everybody else for everything that's happened to them is playing victim. This happened to me because this person did this. This happened to me because this person did this. You're making yourself a victim.
But are you a victim if you're the one who's fixing the problem?
Mind, but in her own mind, she's not the victim. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying what the reality is. I'm not saying what the reality is. I'm saying what the reality is to herself in her own mind. I don't think that she sees what reality is.
She doesn't. She's delusional.
She's delusional.
She's delusional.
I'm not saying I'm a fan. I'm not saying she's great. I'm
All
just
right.
saying.
No, listen,
Kelly-
anybody could be a fan they want to be.
Kelly thinks we're delusional.
I think you two are delusional right now. Like, for real. What I'm hearing in these headphones. But that's all right. That's what we do. We agree to disagree.
That's it. That's okay. We can have different opinions
Totally
on
fine.
things.
It's totally fine.
Really, it's not that important.
It's really
No,
not.
it's
I'm going to lay
not
my
at all.
head down tonight and
I
have a
love how
good
you get so
night.
passionate about it, though, because it's
Yeah.
really not that important.
I know.
Yeah.
I just can't believe anybody defends her, but that's okay.
I'm not. No.
That's
No.
okay.
You're taking it wrong. I am not defending
I'm
her.
sorry. I didn't mean the word. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I
No,
know.
I'm not defending her, and I don't think Wendy's defending her. I'm just saying.
I'm just
That-
saying I see a different side, and I have empathy for her. That's just me. That's who I am. I feel bad for her. I do.
I just think she doesn't even know how fucked up she is. That's what I'm telling you.
So do you think she
doesn't even know.
didn't know when she was setting Melissa up with the whole stripper thing? Did she not know what was going on?
No, I know what you're
No.
talking about, and I think that she did know.
Listen.
I think she knew.
Or
let's
when
bring it back
Jan
to
and
this.
Penny were talking about her cheating on Joe?
Let's
Right.
go back to
remember
this. So
that.
this is another thing she's taken accountability for. So Lala had asked her about Jackie, like who would be your like dream cast? And she said Jackie. She's like, oh, you're good with Jackie? She goes, listen, yeah, Jackie and I talked. We're good. She did that to me because I heard her first. I went after her first. She admitted that she went after her first when she started the rumor about Evan cheating.
Well,
She
that's the
said
first time she's ever admitted.
She said, I went after her first and she came back at me. So if you come back at me after I went at you, then that's fine. That's fair game. But don't come at me first.
But she's on camera saying, I don't give a fuck about Jackie. I just want her to take Margaret down. That's what I need her for.
I know, but that's not what she's saying now.
No, okay. Karen, I'm never gonna.
Well, you don't need to. No, we don't need to like her either. We're just giving you our opinion about where we think her head's at. That's all.
I'm just curious to see how they handle this. But Laura, I said to Wendy, how amazing would it be if Bravo took the Real Housewives of New Jersey and just got rid of everybody else and just
Well, yeah,
made it
so-
about Teresa and
yeah.
her brother
Yeah, I did your clip
and
today on
trying
that.
to reconcile them.
Yeah, that would be
I
very
mean-
interesting. Yeah, I
Right?
like it.
Whether you're a Melissa fan or a Teresa fan, you're going to watch that show. You're going to
Yeah.
want to see what happens.
I don't know what Bravo's doing. Not listening to you, Cal. They should be calling.
I
us up.
mean,
They never listen to us.
they
never
never
listen to you.
listen to us.
We got really good shit going on. I don't know what the problem is.
We really do.
All right.
Did
I think
get
this
too
is
heated about the Teresa. I'm trying not to get too
it's all
heated
right.
about.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's okay.
Did you take your blood pressure medicine?
I did.
You
Okay,
too?
good.
Yeah.
I did.
That's important.
And I'm going to have some chamomile tea next.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Keep it all calm there, girlfriend.
All right.
Yeah.
So until next time, can you guys please give us some 5-star reviews and share our podcast? Tell your friends.
And check out our website, wewinewhenever.com.
That's it.
Bye.
Bye.